You know what he's saying? In the sports media world, familiarity sometimes breeds contempt. I'll give you a reason why. I had worked for more than 25 years covering various beat sports teams on the North Shore of New Brunswick, including the Lousy Rangers, high school, and after a while, the people were basically saying, oh, him again, because he knew he couldn't control my write-ups because I was telling it like it is. And this is why I think Dave Hodge eventually left Hockey Night in Canada, because by 1987, after 15 plus years as the unofficial lead face of the broadcast, he was tired of the way that they were choosing to not respect the fans. Of course, the pen flip incident. So today, Joseph Mendoza made a request for this, and Joseph, this is for you. He wanted me to talk about the great Dave Hodge. Now, Dave Hodge is probably one of the best elite sports reporters and announcers in Canadian history. He has worked for TSN, again CBC, and CFRB. Now, he first got his start. The native of Montreal, was a sports writer with the Chatham Daily News in 1965, then went on to local radio CFCO in 66, and on to CFRB from 68 to 1986. Now, Hodge served as play-by-play announcer at first for the Buffalo Sabres radio broadcast in their inaugural season of 70-71, with Ted Darling calling the play-by-play. In 71, he left the Sabres and joined the CBC, and beating out of all people Alex Trebek to become the lead announcer for Hockey Night in Canada from 71 to 87. Now, yes, Alex Trebek was an on-air personality for the CBC for many years, kind of like a combination of Peter Mansbridge and Ralph Benmergui and the multifaceted CBC reporters. Now, while as the lead guy for Hockey Night in Canada, the lead announcer, he worked 15 Stanley Cup Finals. He was often joined in the studio by colorful analysts such as Howie Meeker and Don Cherry. He also announced the Toronto Argonauts CFL radio games from 74 to 1980. Now, we were hearing rumors he was having a hard time with the CBC because of corporate decisions. Now, on March 14, 87, he was the in-studio host as the CBC carried a game between the Calgary Flames and the Toronto Maple Leafs. The game ended early, and the network switched over to a regional game between the Flyers and Montreal Canadiens, who were in a heavy battle for what's called the Eastern Conference Championship that year. They had met in the semifinals eventually, and Hodge saw that. Now, they switched over the game. The game was tied, went into overtime. The tier period ended, and before 11 p.m. Eastern Time, the CBC executives decided to cut away after 11 p.m. and that only viewers in Quebec who had also seen the game from the start would get to continue watching. A visibly disgusted Hodge appraised viewers of the situation, concluding his remarks while flipping his pen in the air. Now, Montreal and the Flyers are currently playing overtime, and are we able to go there or not? We're not able to go there. That's the way things go today in sports and this network, and the Flyers and Canadiens have us in suspense and remain that way until we find out somehow who won this game or who's responsible for the way we do things here. Good night for Hockey Night in Canada. Following the on-air incident, Hodge quit. He was told he could have his old job back if he apologized, and he stated he had nothing to apologize for and took a different job. Now, by the time of his resignation, termination, whatever you call it, Hodge had already moved to Vancouver, where he was working as a sports director at radio station CKNW and serving as the host for the Vancouver Canucks radio broadcasts that did not conflict with his CBC duties. He continued to reside in Vancouver and work for CKNW for the next few years. Afterwards, he got a promotion. He was hired by Canada West Global to host their coverage of the 87-88 Stanley Cup playoffs, which included some games in the finals each year. Hodge was then made the play-by-play broadcaster for the CFL's league-run Canadian Football Network broadcast service from 87 to 1990. He returned to hockey as the lead voice of the Minnesota North Stars TV broadcast in 91, and also hosted regional television broadcasts for the Toronto Maple Leafs on Global and TSN, and for the Canucks on BC TV, which is now, I think, goes under the City TV banner. Now, Hodge joined TSN in 92 and became one of their main broadcasters. He hosted TSN Inside Sports and a spinoff, That's Hockey. He also co-hosted the 98 NHL Entry Draft, probably one of the best, what they call roundtable sports shows that Canadian TV has ever seen. Hodge also hosted a unique Sunday morning show called Reporters from 2002 until his cancellation in 2017, and he does also commentary every once in a while for TSN's NHL coverage and other NHL coverage across the association. Now, he returned to Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday, November 24, 2018, when he made a surprise appearance on the pregame portion of Hockey Night in Canada. Notably, it was Hodge's first appearance on HNIC since the pen flip incident more than 31 years before. He was invited to appear at the suggestion of President HNIC host Ron MacLean, who had replaced Hodge in 1987. So, do the math on that. He interviewed Dave for about 6 minutes, and Hodge and the rest of the HNIC on-air personalities wore their famous retro sky blue HNIC blazers that would later be sold at auction, with proceeds going to the charity Hockey Fights Cancer. Now, but the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, of course, recognized him with the Brian Williams Media Award in 2012. Hopefully the Hockey Hall of Fame will come calling down the road, but what I remember about Dave Hodge, like a lot of people felt he was a homer for the Leafs. I really don't think so. He was basically so diverse. He could be an announcer, he could be a host. Really, he's better than Ron MacLean, and that's controversial for some people to hear. But Dave Hodge was a no bullshit announcer. You could tell by his eyes what he was feeling. Now, the only thing I find kind of bizarre in this whole situation, none of the major U.S. networks tried to hire him full time. He seemed to be a good fit for hockey on these myriad of ESPN, NBC, Fox, whatever. It's kind of bizarre. Although I think he did freelancing every once in a while. Don't. I hope I'm not misquoting here, but. Dave Hodge, what you saw is what you get. Very cerebral guy. And to my knowledge right now, for consecutive years being involved with hockey, only Brian McFarland, I think, has more tenure, and technically Foster Hewitt. You put in, 50, 55, 56 years. If he started in, the mid-1960s, put it this way, put it in perspective. I'm 56, I got 38 years in as a sports journalist. I'm going to have to go a long ways to catch Dave Hodge. So, I mean, from one longtime journalist to another, Dave Hodge ranks as probably a top 5 sports broadcaster in Canadian history. That's saying a lot, because you got the Don Whitmans, the Danny Gallavins, the René Lecavaliers, the Foster Hewitts, the great announcers, Bob Cole and all that. He's up there because he can do play-by-play when he need to be. And I like his play-by-play style, very similar to like a Jim Lampley style. Very, very, like I said, he wouldn't overplay it, he wouldn't underplay it either. So that's a legend of great Dave Hodge. Mr. Mendoza, we always appreciate your requests. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Requests are always encouraged and considered. By the way, Brenda, my cat in the background looking for attention when I do the podcast. You can tell this live, ladies and gentlemen. It's a one-take Dave Hodge here. And like I said, that's what happened. He was doing this live. There was no setup there, by the way. Hockey Night in Canada was live. Have a good one. Bye.